Welcome to Think Tank, the podcast. I'm Steve Adubato. We're in fact coming to you from East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. Before we open up and welcome our good friend Jeanette Hoffman for a second. By the way, Brian, do us a favor. Tell folks all about East Main Media and all the great stuff going on here. Plug.
Thanks, Steve. Well, we're sitting in our 5,000 square foot production facility, which of course downstairs from here is all of our post-production. We're one of the leading production and post-production houses in New Jersey, and thrilled to have this project here.
By the way, Brian's team at East Main Media does all of the post-production of all of our programming that we produce for public broadcasting and a whole range of other stuff, our digital content, make that all happen. On this edition of Think Tank, the podcast, I want to make sure we thank our very generous underwriters. We have to do that, right, Jeanette?
Absolutely.
First, Holy Name. Do you know those folks?
I think I do.
The folks
great
at Holy
hospital, great medical
best.
center.
And Mike
yes,
Marin, our
absolutely.
good friend over there, NJIT. And by the way, Dr. Joel Bloom is in fact the president of NJIT on our board, Gibbons, and also New Jersey Resources. I want to thank them and let folks know that Think Tank, the podcast, is a creation that we started because we wanted to go beyond what we were doing on public broadcasting and have conversation around that. On this particular edition of Think Tank, the podcast, we talk in just a moment to State Assemblywoman Holly Schepisi from the 39th Legislative District, one of the most prominent, significant, substantive members of the state legislature. And we're joined to break things down for this edition of Think Tank, the podcast, by Jeanette Hoffman. She's a Republican strategist, president of Marathon Public Affairs, and I see you all the time on a whole range of other programs, such as, plug,
Chasing News, New Jersey Now. They're both on Channel 9 and Fox New York. You can catch them at 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. if you're an insomniac like me.
Like me as well. By the way, let's break this down. You've known Holly Schepisi for a long time.
Yeah, Holly's great.
Tell folks who don't know her, and you're about to listen to her in a moment, the genesis, if you will. Our good friend Mike Kelly in The Record wrote a profile of Holly Schepisi, which really talked about, I like to call it, the politics of personal destruction and its relationship to Holly. Break it down.
Yeah, Holly is just a fantastic person. She's a legislator. She's an assemblywoman in Bergen County. She's a mom. She's a vice president of a medical center foundation. And
at Holy Name.
At Holy Name, right. And what you see is what you get with Holly. She's very candid. And she talks really candidly in this segment about how she really lost weight. But what was even more important than that, Steve, she had to lose what she thought of other people's opinions because she really just got criticized so much.
Was this on social media?
Exactly. Facebook, Twitter. She just got...
About what?
About her weight, about her appearance, about a lot of nonsense that had nothing to do with public policy. I mean, when you're an elected official, you're in the spotlight all the time. And she would go on these television shows, sometimes talking about the Bridgegate incident a couple years ago.
Sure.
Sometimes, just talking about her role in the assembly. And people would send her the nastiest messages about her weight, about her hair, about her clothes, about her potentially sleeping with the governors, just total nonsense.
Would that happen to a
BS.
male in public life, in your view?
Oh, come on, Steve. You know the answer to that. No.
No way that happened.
Nope. It's such a double standard. And I see it myself. I go on TV sometimes and I get some really nasty responses from people about what I'm wearing, about my hair, about my weight.
Does it bother you?
Of course it bothers me. I'm human. As much as you want to say you have a thick skin, it bothers you. You never really get used to it, but you move on and you have to, put on a brave face. And I think this is what Holly talks about in this segment. And it's so real. And she's such a real person. And that's what I think I love about Holly. And I really like this segment. You really dive deep with her on this.
So you're about to listen to State Assemblywoman Holly Schepisi on Think Tank, the podcast. And Lauren Gary, our senior producer of Think Tank, the podcast, when we're breaking this down, so much of this for us, bigger picture, is about the tone and tenor of politics today. You were on a very important conversation we had on one of the original Think Tank, the broadcast programs on the future of the Republican Party, but a lot of it broke down, and I'll put this out there.
Yeah.
I've always been concerned about the negativity, if you will, and the personal attacks. It's not all about Donald Trump, but he's contributed to it, whether you're Democrat, Republican, and there are some liberal Democrats and others who are pretty mean as well. Question. As we listen to Holly Schepisi, who's very real, as you said, and very candid, do you see any way out of this so that we can talk about the issues, disagree on the issues, and move away from these personal attacks, trying to destroy people's reputations, et cetera, et cetera? Can we get away from this?
I don't know, Steve. I mean, I hope so, right? I'm an optimist, and I think Holly says that too in her segment, that she's an optimist. And Michelle Obama, I think she really said it the right way: when they go low, we go high. But it's just such a toxic climate out there, and it's so easy on social media to be a keyboard warrior, right? You know that term? It's so easy to spout off a message to someone you'll never see in person, you'll never confront face to face. So it's just this toxic political environment. I hope the pendulum swings back the other way.
What's at stake here for folks? Explain, if this, as opposed to me being a student of public policy and political science and believing you really need to fight fair on the substance, what's the danger for our country in this?
Nothing gets done. I mean, look at our Congress. Look at politics in New Jersey. I mean, when people disagree and they're so nasty, nothing gets done. Nothing gets accomplished for the better good of people. I think James Comey was ironically the person who said it's hard to hate up close. So when people are...
Say that again?
James Comey said it's hard to hate up close.
As opposed to on Twitter, Facebook,
Exactly.
Instagram, or whatever?
Right. So when you and I are in a room having a discussion, I'm not going to say something mean and nasty to your face. But if we're far apart on a computer, I'll never see you. It's easy to spout off a nasty Twitter message. So social media has made things worse in politics as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, it's interesting as we go to listen to Holly Schepisi, who I'm a big fan of. And Holly, a few years ago, did an interview with us. Go on our website, steveautobato.org. And this interview she did, she was just recovering from a very serious brain surgery she had.
She had a brain aneurysm.
This is someone who put it out there. This is someone who put it out there because she wanted to send a message to others who might be getting signs that they were at risk. This is someone, Holly Schepisi, who talks about being resilient, not just talks about it, but is resilient. She is strong. She's the kind of leader that you want in public life, whether you agree or not with her politics or her policies. She cares deeply, and that's what Jeanette is talking about. Let's listen to Holly Schepisi. And one more time, I want to thank the folks at Holy Name, NJIT, Gibbons, and New Jersey Resources. And I want to thank you, Jeanette, for joining us on Think Tank. Hey, this is pretty relaxed. Think Tank, the podcast, pretty chill, right?
Yeah, this is fun. This is really exciting, good conversations.
Great. And I also want to thank the folks again at East May Media Studios. And once again, Think Tank, the podcast. We'll go to a PSA, and then you'll listen to State Assemblywoman Holly Schepisi.
When it comes to you and your family's health care, transparency is key. At Holy Name Medical Center, we believe in creating an environment where patients can be educated and informed so they can get the most out of their health care. As New Jersey's healthcare industry continues to evolve and change, Holy Name remains committed to providing patients with high-quality, accessible, and affordable health care.
We are pleased to be joined by Assemblywoman Holly Schepisi. She's the assistant GOP leader in the Assembly. Holly, great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Last time we talked about the big picture GOP politics nationally, statewide. But our colleague and friend Mike Kelly wrote a column about you. Got a lot of feedback. You hear a lot about it?
All over.
Yeah. So you were very candid with Mike. You talked to him about the fact that there are some folks who have said some pretty rotten, nasty, personal things about you, and you're not the only one. This was about you. About your appearance,
Yes.
weight, just really stuff that had nothing to do with politics and nothing to do with why you got into this.
Right.
Why did you do that?
Honestly,
Why'd you talk to Mike?
I put up a post on Facebook that talked about I had hit a goal that day of weight loss since February. And I put up that although I was really proud of myself for having lost 45 pounds, for me, the biggest struggle and the thing I was most proud of was losing other people's opinions of me and letting that impact on me. And in politics and life with social media, it's so very difficult because you're under a microscope at every moment of every day. And I had gained a significant amount of weight after having had my brain aneurysm.
Right.
I was very self-conscious about it. I had kind of given up on myself.
By the way, Holly just happens to mention a brain aneurysm. Check out the interview we did with Holly about that. Powerful. God, I'm sorry.
And I just kind of accepted that I had gained this weight and, I was happy to be alive. And in February, I had gone on a TV interview for another station, And
A lesser one than public
a lesser
broadcast.
one, you guys.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And one of the responses from one of the political activists in the state was to call me a pig and to kind of mock my appearance, and put up a picture of me in which it made a vomit face and all this other stuff. And I was on a plane with a couple of friends, and we were going away for the weekend, and I was so devastated. And it was something that I said, you know what, I've got to take control of my own life, not allow this stuff to impact on me. And I very quietly went on Weight Watchers, started doing stuff for myself, and psychologically just came to a point where I can't say my exact slogan because it would get bleeped out, but it's zero, you know what's left to give,
Yes.
about what people think about you. And in politics, it's a really tough place to get to because people take swipes at your hair, your makeup, your perceived intelligence or lack thereof. They say the most horrific things imaginable.
Which is not why you got into public life in the first place.
No, not at all. Not at all. And up until, candidly, a couple of years ago, it wasn't like that.
Why
But
do you think it's different?
I think it's a blend. I mean, I saw it personally for the first time when I sat on the Bridgegate Committee.
That's right.
And I would go on different shows to talk about it. And people wouldn't discuss, the policy or whether or not they agreed or disagreed with me on what I was saying. It was, really awful comments about whether or not I sleep with the governor, awful comments about my hair that day, weight loss, weight gain, and people who kind of champion themselves as being, all for women. We're the most god-awful people to women.
Women to women?
Women to women.
Women saying things not on public policy, not on substantive issues, which is all we are about here.
Right.
But about you personally. You actually said this is a toxic political cesspool.
Yes.
Not too strong?
Not too strong at all. And it's, I speak with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle all the time about it.
Otherwise known as Democrats.
my Democrat friends. And, we all take it in various degrees. I'm one of the most...
Worse for women?
I think so. Men don't have their appearance commented on as much as women do. They don't have their clothing commented on as much as women do. But I've also found that Facebook and Twitter has
Social media?
Yeah, it's enabled people to say things to one another that they would never say in person.
But Holly, I got to tell you, the other thing about you is that you've never held back. And I remember there's a quote that we've used from you in one of our shows, and when you said sometimes it becomes difficult being part of your party at certain times.
Right.
To what degree does President Trump focusing on the physical appearance of women, starting in the presidential campaign with Carly Fiorina saying that face, look at that face, to Rosie O'Donnell, to formerly at Fox and NBC, Megyn Kelly, about her menstrual cycle, which he'll swear that wasn't what it was about, to a reporter from the New York Times who was handicapped, physically disabled, and the president mocking him. The point I'm making is this. To what degree is the president, he's not alone, but to what degree has he contributed to the toxic environment that you described?
It doesn't help, but the toxicity was there even before him. So when I was on the Bridgegate Committee, Trump wasn't even a blink or a factor.
He's just a part of it.
He's a part of it. It's part of, I think he's capitalized on that to an extent where, I'm somebody where I like to show a different way. And I'm a firm proponent and believer in, if I don't like people doing this to me, I shouldn't be doing it
Someone
to
says, get in the gutter with them. Get in the gutter and fight with them dirty, and that's the way you play politics today. If you don't want to play that way, then get out of politics, you say.
Both of my last election cycles, I had a tremendous amount of money poured against me. And it was everything from I hate every population group to I hate women to I hate this group. It was all false. It's not who I am at all. I had personal things in both of the past elections that I could have used against my opponents.
Why didn't you?
It's not me. I refused to do it.
But how about if you lost in the process?
I would have been able to wake up, looked at myself in the mirror, and been proud of myself for having... Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Does that make you in the minority? And I don't mean the minority party. The person who will not use personal attacks because they think it's politically short-term advantageous to them.
Right.
The norm?
Probably not. Probably not.
What does that say, Holly?
We're at a win at any cost mentality, I think, on both sides. And it's something where we need, us as leaders, us who are willing to be the sane. Let's talk about policy. Let's talk about policy differences. Let's figure out a better way to get.
But let's not
someplace.
name calling. Let's not personally attack. Let's not mock people's appearance.
Right.
We can do that.
Absolutely.
And we in the media, we in the media have a big role here.
I think we all do. I think we as leaders do. I think you guys, as being in the media, do. I think that we need to stop sensationalizing everything. And it's all, it's not about let's delve into the deep dives anymore. It's, what's going to get us the most number of clicks? What's going to, drive people to our site? And so the most outrageous becomes the norm or the perceived norm because that's what's driving people to engage.
You hopeful?
I'm always hopeful. I wouldn't
Because
still
you're a
be
hopeful
doing
person.
this.
Were you tempted to get out of this?
Oh, absolutely.
You're tempted to say, I'm out of public
This
life.
entire election cycle, I would wake up going, what the heck am I doing? Why am I putting myself through this
What's
again?
the answer to it?
We need people who are willing to put their foot down and go enough. We need people who are willing to set a different path. We need people who are willing to mentor those and build a bench, particularly on the Republican side.
You want to show your kids as well?
Yes, and
I could tell.
for my
We were talking-
16-year-old,
Go
my
ahead, I'm sorry.
8-year-old,
What do you want to show them? What's the message?
Mommy's strong. Mommy's in it for the right reasons. The sacrifices my family has made in allowing me to do this, that it's for a better purpose and not me just being a gerbil in a wheel in politics, but to potentially show a different, better pathway.
Holly Schepisi, every time you're with us, I'm not going to make this an endorsement. It's meaningful conversation, respectful, candid, important. We thank you. That's why we're in public broadcasting.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
To watch more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We're pleased to welcome Assemblywoman Valerie Venneri-Huddle, Assembly Deputy Speaker. Good to see you.
Thank you, Steve. Always nice to be here.
We talk about so many important things, but I want to get right to an issue that doesn't get talked about. Government-sanctioned safe injection sites for people who have drug issues.
Yeah. And what they actually are overdose prevention centers. As you know, we have a opioid crisis in this country. And in New Jersey, 8 people die a day on overdosing. And most of these are young kids. They die in the shadows. They die in the alleyways. This center, or these centers, are medically supervised. And if you think about it, and you remember back in the 90s, during the AIDS crisis, the clean needle exchange was a radical idea, correct?
That's right.
And it has been working. These overdose prevention centers are working around the country. They're working in Canada. They have,
Around the country?
well, I should say around the world.
Yeah, because...
Canada, England, Sweden.
Do we have one in the United States?
We do not.
Not a single one?
Not a single one. They have tried in Philadelphia. They have tried in Boston. They have tried in New York City.
What has stopped it?
But last month, we had some good news.
With the
There
judge's
was
ruling?
Right. Judge's ruling said it did not violate the Substance Controlled Act. So therefore, that's a step in the right direction because I think the naysayers were like, well, they're coming in and they're doing drugs. Well, guess what? They're doing drugs anyway. And if we can prevent one death, if we can prevent an overdose death, then you know what? We're helping. And we have done so many things in New Jersey. I mean, we had the Opioid Prevention Act, which now allows Good Samaritans to call and not have any fear.
Right.
We have now new warning labels on painkillers and opioid drugs that it can be addicted and you can suffer an overdose.
We're making changes.
We are.
But this
Small
one
steps. This is
not,
radical.
But this has been around, this idea is not new. You are advocating it. Are you getting significant opposition from your colleagues in the state legislature?
Well, this is the good news. It's bipartisan. I have Republican sponsors on the Assembly side, and of course we have, I don't know if we have Republican sponsors on the Senate side yet, But let's face it, the opioid crisis touches everyone. It transcends politics. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Urban, suburban, rural.
We are in a crisis, and we are trying to do more. The former Commissioner of Health, Sharif,
Sharif Al-Nahal was actually in here today. Go ahead.
He was actually, he said it's a great idea. The intent is there. We just have to figure out how to do it legally.
Where's Governor Murphy on this?
I don't know yet, but I'm hoping that during the lame duck, at least we can get it on the health committee. We can discuss it, and then we can see where we're going. I don't know. I would find it hard to find anyone that if you can save lives and you could prevent overdoses, and if someone is going in to inject, think about it, and they're going in with medically trained staff and support services, that it could happen just one time. They may be able to be counseled. They may be able to get help. In the interim, if they're shooting now in the alleyways, there's no help for them. There's no service for them. This is supervised, sanctioned injection sites that are safe.
Assemblywoman Valerie Vanieri, Huddle Deputy Assembly Speaker, let me ask you something. When did you introduce this idea?
Last year.
So it's been a year or so.
But we have been talking about harm reduction centers. There has been discussion, there has been conversation, so all is not lost. You know, due to scheduling, we haven't been back to session for a few months. So I am hoping that when we do go back, it has, it's a priority.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
curious
of
about
course.
this. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to do this on the state level. We'll see where the Commissioner of Health is on this. We'll bring in Commissioner Persicelli.
Our new commissioner, acting commissioner, I
yes. We'll interview the governor and ask him about this.
Great.
Why is this not a national initiative?
You know, it is a national issue because I would tell you that the National Health Center has created grants
The
close
Centers
to
for
$1
Disease
billion.
Control?
Yes,
The CDC?
close to $1 billion, 956 million, I believe, and that's in research. I mean, we have all sorts of problems with opioid overdoses, and we have children being born addicted. So it's geared for research and where they can be assisted through new medications. You know, we just had last month, I think it was, or 2 months ago, some of the independent pharmacies took part in giving out free Narcan. And in my neighborhood alone in Englewood, whatever was given to them, allotted to them, done, completed. I mean, so the Department of Health here in New Jersey, we're taking steps, again, with some of the laws that are being created. Now you can go and get medically assisted treatment without a doctor's prescription. Think about the people that are on Medicaid. They're not seeing doctors for, being addicted. So we have taken steps. But if they're going to inject, let them inject in a safe place.
And by the way, just to clarify, what we're talking about is a judge's decision. There was a judge's decision that basically ruled that the proposed site in Philadelphia,
Right.
Philadelphia is attempting to do this.
That's right.
That the proposed site in Philadelphia to do just this
Right.
does not violate federal law. Other cities, including Boston, Seattle, San Francisco, New York, have also considered doing this.
And
New Jersey
I'm
would be
hoping
with
we're
these
the
others.
first state. I mean, look, we've done some pretty progressive things in the state, and I'm hoping that we can. And I'm hoping again with the help from the National Health Centers, from almost $1 billion for research, that the statistics prove. Look at the statistics alone. It's not my idea. Statistics prove not one death.
Assemblywoman, I want to thank you for joining us. I
Thank
promise
you.
you we'll continue to monitor this issue
Yes.
because it is literally an issue
Crisis.
of life and death.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This has been State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center, NJIT, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., New Jersey Resources, Fedway Associates, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, and by the Fidelco Group. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer, and by Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey.
I think at NJIT there are a lot of smart students.
I came to NJIT for mechanical engineering because within state, it's one of probably the top 3 schools for engineering. It sort of creates a friendly competition where you can learn from them.
It's a great academic school.
I feel I'm being challenged, but at the same time, I love the classes I'm taking.
The atmosphere of being here is like being at an upstart company. It's that same kind of drive, that same kind of passion.